You thought it was just a game, just a simple I do to your follower. But today you'll find that your choice of Skyrim wife reveals more than you realize. In fact, it exposes you. Now let's be clear, you can't fully psychoanalyze someone based on a single choice. Psychology doesn't work that way. I'm also not your psychiatrist. But you can make some reasonable assumptions, and that's what we're here to do. This series is not meant to be taken seriously. So to everyone who was raging in the comments of my Grelwood video over the final verdict, relax. It's all fun. Mostly. First, we look at the premier shield maiden of Jorvaskr, the Huntress of the Whiterun Plains, the blazing redhead with an attitude so bad it makes the Draugr roll their eyes and crawl back into their coffins. Aella the Huntress. This bodacious broad is a wildly popular choice for a wife, and I'm fully convinced it's because half of Skyrim's player base is, and may God forgive me for uttering this word, furries. There's nothing a strong Nord dragonborn loves more than an even stronger woman who has more hair than him, even when the moon isn't full. Mara would likely have a hard time blessing this union if she observed it for more than 30 seconds, but alas, love is love. And if this muscle mommy with a side of Daedric darkness is the sweet roll of your eye, then marriage it is. But this marriage isn't just about fur and ferocity. It's about submissive identity projection, possibly rooted in dependent personality traits. People who deal with this often had a mother who hovered over them like the adoring fan, or one who was too busy doing Sanguine's bidding to show love to baby. The result? Difficulty making decisions, struggling to finish their own projects, chronic self-doubt. So they look for someone who can carry the burden of identity, and Aella gladly volunteers. She doesn't cook, she doesn't coddle, but she does call you whelp, and you kinda like it. Even if you cure the beast blood, if she told you to sit, you probably would. Aella is domineering, a Nord through and through. She doesn't need your input. You need hers. She'll project her identity onto you until you're little Aella Jr., doomed to follow her around as she eats yet another cave bear raw. There's nothing wrong with this. She likes to dominate. You like to be dominated. It's a match made in Sovngarde. We all know who wields Wuthrad in this relationship. Next, we have a little-known gem of a wife, someone who I'm convinced is secretly a psychopath, Hilland, a Nord found on Solstheim. You know, the woman who lives in a mead hall down the road and across the way from a volcano? Hilland is a curious case study. A case study in deadpan humor. This woman, who shows about as much emotion as any other woman in Skyrim, looks you dead in the eyes with a straight face and asks you to genocide the Skyrim branch of the Smurf family tree. I'm not critiquing her. I would do the same thing in her shoes. As a matter of fact, I would have genocided them as soon as I was old enough to hold a hammer. Look at this thing and then tell me with a straight face that Talos loves us. So psychoanalytically, what made you marry Hilland? What yearning deep inside, what psychological traits drove you to marry a woman who only loves you after you eliminate a tribe of 3-foot-tall gremlins and line her home with their relics? You may have a touch of a hero complex. You want to be needed. You want to be essential. You want to be the reason someone smiles, even if they never actually do. You're drawn to people who only show affection after you've proven yourself in some unhinged, impossible way. You don't want a connection, you want conquest. You don't want a wife, but you're more interested in a side quest that gives you a warm body, and the same feeling Superman has after he uses a single mother's car to smash Lex Luthor's head in. You saw Hilland standing there, spears in hand, and thought, I can fix this. You can't, but you'll try anyway, because deep down you don't feel worthy of love unless you earn it through absurd and painful effort. And nothing screams absurd and painful effort like scouring Solstheim for 50 pointy sticks just to win the affection of a woman who thinks a romantic date is stabbing ash hoppers with rusty swords. We move now to Janassa, whose entire personality is hot elf with a murder fetish. This deleterious Dunmer has a passion for butchering anyone dumb enough to cross her path. I wouldn't have been surprised if at the end of the Blood on the Ice quest in Windhelm, we somehow found out that she was the killer. This chick wants to evacuate the blood from your body like Ulfric wants to evict the Empire out of Skyrim. I wouldn't trust her around me while I'm sleeping even after she said yes to the dress. So what makes this malignant maiden so attractive to that little voice in your head? You likely have a case of dark triad attraction. This is more prevalent in women being attracted to men who demonstrate dark triad traits, but it can go both ways. The dark triad is composed of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. It's featured more prominently in my Astrid video, but it has a more serious tone. So you saw this mysterious elf sitting in the corner of a pub, heard her say things such as, "I know nothing of remorse," or "I am an artisan painting in strokes of blood red upon the canvas of life," and you said, "Yeah, this is who I want to be the mother of my children." Your attraction to her is probably found somewhere in your subconscious, as you pick up on signals that she's a risk taker, or she'll do anything that you tell her to with no hesitation from a moral standpoint. The darkness is attractive because it's unknown. It's exciting. It'll probably end with her tying you to your bed in Lakeview Manor and setting it on fire. Or it may end with you committing tax fraud because the last Dragonborn is no Boy Scout, but then she suggests that you just go kill everyone at the Jarl's office instead. And you're probably okay with that. We come now to the last woman of part 1. This reptilian creature, known as Shavei, might just scratch that itch you have of taking an animal as a lover, and she might use her tail to do it. You probably read the book, you know which one I'm talking about, and decided to marry the first scaled creature that you saw. Putting aside my disdain for the abominations that hail from Blackmarsh, this is the only woman in Skyrim who looks you in the eyes and says, "I just want to be happy." You walked past the werewolf Valkyrie, the emotionally distant Nord, and the Dunmer serial killer, laid eyes on Shavei, and said, "Yep, that's the one." There's 2 things I see when I consider the psychological profile of someone who would marry such a woman as this: the need for emotional safety, and the possibility that you subconsciously identify as an outsider. Emotional safety is being able to trust that you can be honest about how you feel with your partner. Shavei and her never-ending optimism and kindness gives you the vibe that you could just lay your head in her lap and pour your heart out while she rubs your head with her claws. She would likely promote healthy communication and mutual understanding in your relationship. Maybe you've been hurt before and you don't want to be hurt again, so you choose the sweet lizard lady to be your bride. Subconsciously identifying as an outsider may drive you to look in her freakishly large pupils and say, "I do," because you want to connect with someone who has a shared experience. You long to be able to identify and bond with someone who knows what it's like to be the last kid picked at recess, or the last wizard to be picked for scraping barnacles off the ship. Together, you two can lay your feelings out in the open and have a real connection. And if she happens to whisper affirmations in her native tongue while rubbing your temples with her clawed thumbs, I mean, who wouldn't want that? Oh no. Anyway, let me know in the comments if this was spot on or completely misguided psychoanalysis. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know who you want to see in part 2. And now if you'll excuse me, I need to go profess my love for a certain green queen in Windhelm.